What's up, everybody? It is time for a brand new show. I always want to call you Casie, and I know that's not your name; it's Casie. But
Everybody does.
I feel like I want to throw a second S in there. Casie Unhinged is a new show here on Sports Fluent, and it's all about her. I'm not going to be here very, very long. However, we're going to talk about her life. Crazy that it is unhinged. Why unhinged?
I just love the word unhinged. Like I had a friend a long time ago who we used to describe certain parts of her life that way, and she would be like doing something very different, and she'd be like, "I'm just unhinged," and then that just became our word that we would always use when we were doing something like sort of out of the norm from what most people would think that we were doing in our lives. And so I use it in a lot of different ways now, maybe not in the way that everyone thinks, but I like explaining things that people don't normally know about me. You know, they see my business side and who they think I am, but that's why I like doing this kind of stuff.
Because when I see unhinged, I think crazy.
I know.
And it's no,
I think that's really what it does mean, because that's the way we started using it. But then it became like a descriptive word that we'd use for something that was like maybe a different choice that we would normally make, or like something that people wouldn't normally think about us, or, you know, so now it's just fun.
Okay. Because what you're doing is a little bit crazy. Former college basketball player. So you played in Denver, Colorado. Tell me about that. I forget where.
Colorado State, Fort Collins. Yep. I was a Ram. The Buffs were our rivals. So yeah, Rammy over here.
How do you get, go back one more step. How do you get there? Like, okay, so you're 6 foot, what?
6'2".
Okay, so you're 6'2", so they're like, hey, you need to play basketball. Duh. Or do you say, I really like basketball? Which one came first?
No, so like I was a gymnastics fiend when I was younger, and I was like 5'7", 5'8" till like through 9th grade. And I was like getting a little too big for gymnastics. My mom was like, you know, if you quit, I'll buy you a pair of like basketball shorts and like some new shoes. And I was kind of like, okay. Like I was kind of just an easygoing kid. So I was forced to play, and I was not very good. I was on the B squad like through 9th grade. And we'll go into my other backstory, but I had Tourette's as a kid, ADD, anxiety. Like I was just kind of a crazy kid. So I was on a lot of medication through middle school. When I decided to just come off, because I was like, I hate being the different, stupid kid, like I hit a growth spurt. And I later look back now at some of that stuff, and some of it like affects growth hormone and whatever. Who knows if that's anything to do with anything, but I hit like a 4 to 5 inch growth spurt between 9th and 10th grade, and went from like being on the B squad to starting varsity my sophomore year of high school, and made a bet with my dad in 9th grade, like, if you get a college scholarship and go D1, like I'll buy you a car. And so that like became like my like, all right, I'm going to do this. And then I like shot up, and I was in the gym like every day, played against the guys. And I ended up like signing my scholarship my sophomore year. So I got on a really good AAU team like my sophomore year.
Are you in Colorado at this point?
No, I'm in Minnesota when I was in high school. Yep.
So, okay, so you're in Minnesota playing. He says, go D1, I'm going to buy you a car.
Yeah, it's like, if you get a D1 scholarship, like.
That's my first question. You just say a car, but I'm asking what kind. Is it new? Is it used?
My dream car was a Mitsubishi Eclipse, as everyone else was, because of Fast and the Furious. So like I wanted a Mitsubishi Eclipse. And so, yeah, that was my dream car back then.
Oh, hello. I have a little visitor, my dog sneaking under my wall here.
Well, here's my cat right here. She's popping in.
Oh, there you go. You're gonna get stuck under there. You're gonna get stuck. Hold on, I gotta open the door. You can come if you want. That's unexpected. Okay, hello. Come here. Hi. Here we go. Speaking of unhinged,
we're just gonna make this into an animal show. We're just gonna have
I don't think
pets on here.
My dog before. Okay, so it's interesting though that that's why I asked about the basketball, because I didn't even play basketball till my freshman year in high school. And I was tall, so they were like, "Hey, you should play." I'm like, "Okay." So you start playing. No, actually, go back. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm going to be like you because you mentioned Tourette's, and I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Because when I think of Tourette's, I think of the fun one. Um, but
I was I don't
it
feel like it
wasn't.
was
You were
as
like
fun as
blurting
yeah.
up.
No, like mine was like ticking and like noises and stuff, but I was yeah. So I was kind of like an anxious freak all the time and on blood pressure meds and
There's a new show. I
I
think.
know. Yeah.
Have you heard of it? I forget the
Yeah.
name, but it follows
Yeah.
that girl that has
Yeah,
Tourette's.
I feel like I've seen some like reels and stuff on her. I think she has probably a big following at this point, and then maybe ended up getting like a deal on it for doing that
Oh, she got
stuff.
a
But
following first. Oh, okay.
that's what
Mm.
I think because she looks familiar. I feel like I've seen her stuff before somewhere.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so you got to deal with that. Then you have this growth spurt, and you shoot kind of for a girl at least through the roof. And so when do you realize? So sorry, you said your junior year.
So I
You
was
said.
like between I maybe was like 6 feet tall as a sophomore, like but in ninth grade I was like 5'8" on the B squad, like wasn't playing. So I got like really good that summer. Also, like shot up at the same time, and then ended up starting as a sophomore. My first year of playing like varsity, basically. Grew like an inch through high school, and then even a little more into my freshman year of college, even. So when I got recruited, it was like after my sophomore year of high school when I like was starting to play really well, ended up getting onto this AAU squad in Minnesota, the Minnesota Stars, and we were like traveling the country to get recruited. So I was like immediately like, yeah, like I'm gonna be good. Like this is what I want. So that was like sophomore, junior year playing on the Minnesota Stars, ended up like getting recruited in Chicago. I was actually like really sick on that trip when we were playing in front of the coaches that saw me. And then had like three top schools my junior year, and I was like getting calls. It's probably way worse now getting recruited, but I was like, my little flip phone getting cell phone calls, and I was out with my high school friends, and I was just like, I'm kind of like over this. I'm ready to just sign. Everyone's like, yeah, if you get hurt and you're not like signed, it's not good either. So I kind of just wanted to like get it done. Um,
What were Obviously you end up choosing Colorado State. Why am I going to get this wrong every time? Is Colorado State?
yeah.
Okay. What were the other offers?
BU way over in Boston, and then the other, which I didn't have like an official offer from them, but I did go on a visit out there, was the University of San Diego. So I was kind of way across the country, all over. And in the University of San Diego, I loved, but they're like 7,000 students. It's a tiny little private school. They're very academic
Yeah,
based.
but it's San Diego. You're in Minnesota. Get out of the snow.
I know, but
It's
like I also did
I'll tell you
terrible
what right
on
now.
my
I was good. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You did terrible on what now?
on like my ACTs. Like I was a terrible, like I wasn't a great student and awful at test taking, and so I was just like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do yet. Like I just want to play basketball. Like I'm a decent student, but I just like don't really care right now. And I wanted to play at a big school. That was like my thing. I'm like, if I'm gonna go, I want to like be in that huge college environment. I
Right,
don't
right.
even think the Toreros had a football team at the time when I got recruited. So I was like, I want that experience.
I was solely thinking about weather because
I
I'm
know.
I'm
I
in Toronto
understand.
right now, and there's about 6 feet of snow outside.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's snowed. It hasn't snowed like this in like 40 years. So
Yeah.
all I can think about is, let's get away. I need a vacation.
It was a
I'm
comfortable choice though,
I'm
because I
trying
was
to
like,
pack
I
up
feel
as the
like
snow falls. I'm packing up my family, saying, "Let's get out of here." But so that's why I immediately thought San Diego. Okay, but
yeah.
Colorado's not bad. Where is Colorado State? And what part?
It's like an hour north of Denver, basically, a little over an
Oh, okay.
hour. Yeah.
All right. So okay. Let me go back a step because we're still in high school because we got to get everybody up to speed. So we
Yeah.
go Tourette's, gymnastics, basketball. Um, are you in your school? Are you? I don't know why I feel like when I think of Minnesota, I'm thinking of like all these tall Vikings. I'm like, yeah, there's probably like 6 foot girls and 7 foot guys just walking around all over the place. So it's not that odd.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
way too
I would say
expensive.
we had a taller class. So the girl that we went to state my junior year, and took third and I think second the year before. And then we went up to 4A school my senior year and did awful. But my junior year, the senior on our team was a 6'4" girl, and she ended up going to Valparaiso on a D1 scholarship, and then 3 other girls went in D2. So we were like a pretty good team, and people used to call us the Twin Towers in our conference because we were like 2 of the tallest girls, like tandemly, and that's pretty rare to have like 2 girls that are that tall on one team. And so, we would run a lot of plays off of having 2 tall girls, which was kind of rare, like a high and low and whatever. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, but
get into you just because you mentioned kind of you'd run plays high. How deep did you get into like plays and that? Like, could you if we brought out a chalkboard, a whiteboard, and ran through plays, could you run us through plays?
No.
And never, or just not now?
No, I mean, I feel like I could have, but like at this point, I mean, you could teach me again, and I'd be like, oh yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get there. So you make the move. You go to Colorado State. Are you there all 4 years?
I graduated from there after so I get there. There's like 4 or 5 girls ahead of me, which I already knew, and they were like, "Hey, like,
how did you know them?"
I mean, I went on an official visit there before I went, so I knew like what I was, who would be, who was ahead of me, who wasn't, whatever. But they're like, we are just going to give you the option. Like, if you want a red shirt, you can, because these 4 girls are seniors. You'd be like one of 2 other people that would be like our players. And then you'd have 4 years and you would just like kill it. And right when I got there, I met a transfer JUCO from another school in Kansas, and her and I immediately like hit it off, and we were a little bit of a trouble together. But I was like, yeah, like,
off the court?
Yeah. Like, just, we had a lot of fun. We partied a lot, and,
Like?
What do you mean?
Just an example.
Like, going out until 2 a.m. before the game, but we didn't have to play. So you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
We can get into that.
Just curves and stuff. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. There's a lot of stories.
What I can get out. Okay, we'll get to those.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was like, we immediately hit it off. I'm like, she has to red shirt. I was like, you know what? Like, this is cool. Like, I can catch up to the pace of the game. It's a bigger court. I was dying my freshman year there just with the altitude and the change and everything. So I was like, this is cool. So
let me pause there for a second, because that's actually one that comes up a lot about the altitude. So did you find that there was a big, because you mentioned you had to get used to it, was that a big difference?
Yeah, it was awful. I mean, and I'm somebody who's just, I mean, I had asthma in high school, but like, so my Tourette's went away when I hit puberty. Sometimes hormonally it can, which for me it did. But then I started having all these other issues with what they thought was asthma, but it was really just other inflammatory issues from hormones and whatever else. My system was just messed up at that point. So I always kind of struggled to feel like I was in shape. And then I went up to altitude and didn't go out there till like right before preseason started, which was in August. And our strength and conditioning coach was awful. And he used to just do all the football stuff with us. And our first thing that we did right away when we got there was a 2-mile test. And we had to run laps on the track. And we had to run 2 miles in 15 minutes. And everybody on the team had the same time to hit.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Right?
Okay.
Which 2 miles in 15 minutes is still pretty fast. Like, make me go run suicides all day. Don't make me run 2 miles. Like, that's so stupid. I'm never going to train for something like that, which I didn't. And I got my ass kicked. And so we continued to have to run it until we made it, which I never did. And then on top of that, we had to go do extra conditioning. So I just I was exhausted all the time. Like, I was up in the morning running. I lost the freshman 10 right when I got there. And then wasn't going to class. I got put on academic probation because I was exhausted. And then one of our he was I want to call him the ball boy. He was an adult, but he was one of the assistant coaches that was I
believe you call them an equipment manager, perhaps.
Yes. And so, but he worked at the office. He was, I don't,
an administrative assistant, perhaps.
Yeah. Let's call
ball
it
boy
that.
is just like that. No one wants to be called a ball boy. Even the ball boys don't want to be called ball boys. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
No, he was higher than the ball boy. Like he was hired to be there, but I'm pretty sure he like needed to have a few other jobs to be
Right.
there. So
All right. Fair enough.
yeah. But he like I used to have to meet him at his office and he had to escort me to class. So that became one of the rules my freshman sophomore year so that they made sure that I was going.
Did they not set you up as a freshman with what did we have? We had like a mandatory like study hall and
Yeah.
yeah,
We called it study table. And
yeah.
then
And
we
then
had that.
we had someone dedicated to us that would help us with our stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we had study table and then I was then the next semester assigned extra study table,
Okay, yeah.
So, but I mean, if you're not going to class, like what does it help? Right. So
Well, that's where our helper would kind of get notes for us from those
our
classes.
helper,
Our
like a
helper.
PA.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So interesting times.
So how does the team do in those years that you're there?
Yeah. So I redshirt. I ended up redshirting my freshman year, played for the coach that recruited me. When I got there, a lot of people expressed how deeply they did not like our coach and basically got him fired. He quit.
Oh, okay.
Um, I just didn't really know. And I hadn't really technically played for him. I got coached by him for a year, whatever. So he gets let go. And then they bring in a coach from Boston, but no, Boise State. She's from Boise State.
Oh, okay.
And I ended up like starting maybe half our games, which would have been technically my freshman year of playing.
Right.
And she was absolutely awful. Like it was one of the worst coaches I've ever had with anything.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was a great experience. And then I ended up getting double pink eye, double ear infection, asthmatic bronchitis, like in my spring part of that season. And I'm traveling with the team because she's like, we can't let these people know that you're like not playing. And I'm like just dying. So it's taking me like several months to like recover. And she was just like not a good person. Like it took her way too long to get fired and they just didn't have the budget to hire like a better coach. And so at the end of the season, she's like basically let go half the team that was on scholarships to just be like want to recruit her own team and like wanted me to come back. And I was like, yeah, I just kind of don't want to. So I gave up my full ride scholarship and paid 2 years out of state. And I just was like,
So you stayed there?
I stayed there. Yeah. Yeah. I loved the school. I loved my life there. I loved everything about it, but I was like that unhappy and like I felt that negative around her where I was like, I'm not uprooting my entire life for one person
Yeah.
that ruined this for me. And I just redshirted a whole year. And at that time, you have to redshirt again to transfer. You couldn't just like go to another school
Right.
and start
It
playing again.
was like the transfer portal now where you can bounce around like a free agent.
Yeah.
Okay, so you give up basketball at that point.
Yeah. I played intramurals, but that was kind of just a joke.
Yeah, no, that's for all those watching that are in my
Right.
comments telling me how you know basketball because you played intramurals. No, you
Right.
don't.
Yeah.
But,
I was like dribbling the ball up the court, which, that's not normal.
no. So, wow. Again, I did not feel like I should have known that.
Okay.
So you give up. You stay at Colorado State, though. You finish. I guess you do your 2 more years. You graduate with
I was on the accelerated program then because I was taking like the minimum credits a semester, thinking like, oh, cool, like I can just take less and play. But then, I was getting sick in the spring and ended up starting to kind of get into nutrition, started working out at the rec center, getting into sort of like working out for myself and learning whatever. Long story short, my senior year, I ended up doing my first bodybuilding show. Like met some people at the gym.
That starts then. I feel okay.
My
That makes
senior
sense.
year, graduating semester, trying to take 18 credits. My boyfriend at the time that lived in Denver, so I was driving to go see him, bought me a puppy for Valentine's Day. So I had a freaking puppy. I had a cat. I was taking 18 credits. I was training for a show, trying to graduate college. And yeah, then life
That
just like,
doesn't sound fun at all.
it was like, yeah, it was chaos.
And so now that's your first show. How does that go?
I was terrible. I did not know what I was doing. And
Like terrible, like you didn't know like that
no,
stuff?
I'll have to send you a picture. Like I just like I didn't know what I was posing. And then I met this girl through my gym, and she was like, those tans are so dark. Like just I think they look awful. Like just do like the Mystic tan. It looks way better. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. Like I think those dark tans look awful also. So I get up there and I just look like a pasty ass like string bean up there because like it washes you out. Like that's why the dark tans, right? They don't look normal in the public, but like when you're on stage, it's necessary.
Right. And
So I
also
get up,
the darker makes all this stuff look more defined, right?
yeah, and then the lights are so bright that it's like you kind
Yeah.
of just need it, right? Or you're like glowing, like literally glowing. Yeah.
Anyone who's been on, not to say, but like I was on like a TV sitcom, whatever. Like
Yeah.
there's like it's I hate it because it's like this much makeup, but it's because when you're on camera, it looks completely different.
Right.
Like
Right.
1,000-watt bulbs in your face,
Yeah.
melting everything away. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
so that was, and
So
then
that
I did awful. There was three of us. I took third, and I felt like I failed my at life. I felt like
hmm.
they gave me like a pity trophy, you know? So then it was like I ended up moving home because I was like, I graduated with a degree in human development and family studies. So it was very basic. Like you can go into counseling or psychology or social work,
Okay.
but you have to do like more school no matter what, basically. So I was like, I want to help people, but I don't really know in what way. I was a probation officer for my internship, which was awful.
In,
Working with
oh, okay.
working
Yes.
with adult offenders and domestic violence cases, and that was back in the day of like MySpace, where we were like looking up if they were in compliance on their MySpace page and like babysitting adults. And I was like, this is awful, you know?
For those that don't know, MySpace was like the first. I don't know. I don't even know what you could go compare it to. What could
No, I really missed like the theme songs and the background, like the
who was that guy that
wallpaper.
everybody was friends with?
I can see his face, but I don't remember his name.
Steve, John, Dave. Anyways, I remember everybody was
Is it Bill? His name was Bill.
maybe I don't know. Everybody had to be friends with him, but it was like it was weird. It's like Facebook meets like OnlyFans. Um, if you think about it, because people would put their song, like their own personal
Yeah.
song in there. You'd have your own
What was your song?
little. I have no. I can't remember.
You don't remember?
I
I
don't remember.
remember my song.
It's so long ago.
Okay.
I can't remember yesterday. What was yours?
P. Diddy, I Need a Girl Part 2.
I
loved that song.
feel the
I know.
timing of that being the song.
I know, that's why I had to say it, yeah.
P.
But
Diddy.
my boyfriend, my senior year of
I guess was the problem back then.
yeah. I did meet my boyfriend my senior year of college on MySpace though. Like me and my roommates like went and met up with them down in Denver at like some random ass club one night after messaging, and that's how we met.
On MySpace. Wow.
I know.
Honestly, I know I was on it. I know I can't I honestly I don't remember a thing about it.
Okay.
Other than I was friends with that dude that everybody was friends with.
Yeah.
And the themes and all that. I know I had a song. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Okay.
try. I wonder if it's still. Can you still go find it? Is it still there? You think?
I don't know, but I had like my wallpaper was like dumbbells on a rack, you know, like
Of course. What else would
really
it be?
cool. Yeah.
So when you go back home, is this now? What do you decide to do?
I was like at that point obviously interested in like working out and stuff, so I was like, oh, just be a trainer. So I was like
Makes sense.
living with my mom, like trying to train clients, and I like struggled with that for a very long time, and ended up years later working at Gold's Gym, and then I went to Lifetime, and then I just had issues with working for corporate and walked out one day and never went back. So
just so we're clear, your first coach was a jerk that you redshirted for, made you run crazy. Your second coach was horrible. Then you work in corporate. You hate corporate. Are you seeing a theme here? I'm
Yeah,
not. Okay.
major theme. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm just, the universe was just pushing me to do my own thing. That's really, I think, what that means, don't you?
Yes,
Okay,
100%.
cool. That's what I
That's
thought.
what I meant. That was the
I know
theme.
that's what you were getting at. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Not that you're the problem. Absolutely not. It's
Right.
that. Yes,
Never. Never.
I totally understand. So you're doing your own thing. What do you
Yeah.
decide to do?
Yeah. So since 2011, I started training clients kind of on the side, and then it slowly evolved into more like the coaching stuff. I had a number of, well, I mean, I turned pro in 2012, kind of between all of that, because I kept competing because, I was like, all right, I can't go out like this. And then I was, kind of got obsessive with it in that way. And ended up doing junior nationals, like kind of just for fun, and then turned pro and competed on the pro circuit for 3 years. And now I've been retired since 2015. So it's been like 10 years from competing. But that was like a part of the process of doing that. So I trained a lot of other competitors for a long time doing the nutrition and coaching stuff. And I was like, I really like doing more of the background stuff, like analyzing their bodies and whatever, like the working them out in person, like isn't the part that is fun for me. Like figuring out people's bodies was more of the stuff I started to become really good at and putting the pieces together. So I started doing more like, oh, I'm going to run your labs. Cause like I had been through a lot of different hormonal issues and health issues my whole life with medications and, struggling with different things. So like I was having to figure out stuff on my own when I couldn't. And then I started kind of doing that for other people. So it was like a very slow evolution of kind of training people in person. Then I'd be like, all right, well, like now I can charge for doing nutrition, or, oh, now I'm doing more hormone stuff. Like if people want to do that, like I can, so I kind of started slowly just like incorporating more and more and more over time. And then, maybe the first 2 years of COVID and maybe my early 30s, I was like, all right, like I want to be able to travel. Like I love traveling now. I've been done competing for a long time and I want to be able to work from anywhere. So my goal was to always just be like 100% remote, just be done with the training part so that like, sort of tapered over time.
Yeah.
And then it's been like maybe 3.5 years since I was like completely done. And then like 2 years ago was my last relationship in Minnesota. When we got done, I knew I kind of wanted to always move away. And I was like, all right, I'm gone. So it was like 6 months later, I moved to Arizona. And I've been here like a year and a half now. So
Okay.
yeah.
Finally, you get to the heat. See, it's
Yeah.
smart. You find
Yeah.
that's finally you make a right choice.
Yeah. I mean, the best of kind of all worlds, I feel like here.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
So you're I'm going to jump back and forth in time, but
Yeah.
let's start with today because you're doing like health and wellness. But I see stuff like not just like hormonal stuff, but I see like gastral
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, where did you learn that, and how does that even become something like I really want to know about that?
Yeah. It's weird because I feel like I'm a whole different person than I was when I was younger. Like I couldn't sit down to read 3 sentences to somebody without being like distracted. And now I just am like, I get into these rabbit holes with things. And a lot of the stuff that I had to work through with my health issues and different healing and hormone stuff was I had to figure out on my own because I paid so much to try to find people that could do that at the time. And I couldn't, and just spent thousands of dollars working with doctors that just told me I was fine and that everything was normal. And I'm like, it's not. So I continued to always be researching more. And even like when I had pro coaches, when I was getting on the pro stages, it was like, oh, you're not responding normal. And I'm like, well, clearly it's happening for a reason, So
Not
I just,
responding normal. So to what? To a diet, to an exercise, to like nutrition thing, like your body's
yeah.
not what they're
Yeah,
saying.
it's supplementation, the process, like cutting calories, getting to a certain point, like I just feel like I always responded differently, and I always told people like, oh, well, that's just just abnormal, and I'm like, well, it's clearly happening, so like why, So I started looking at what are the other ways that this could, because it's not black and white, and it never is with the internal stuff. And so I think through all my stuff, I had to just always dig deeper, and it opened my mind up to looking down different avenues and trying to figure out other modalities and things that could be going on, and like sort of the interconnectedness of everything on the internal side, and it's just continued to like open up more and more doors to me to like keep looking into more things. So it's, I mean, I do a ton of different kinds of testing now.
So you still have, I'm assuming there's a list of clients, right? So basically people will come to you and say, hey, help me
Yeah.
with this. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they
then
may say like, I'm struggling with this, and I may go through a list of different questions or intake, or we'll do a call to kind of go over it. But some of it is one-on-one coaching. Like they may have like a specific goal in mind. They may actually be in like a really healthy place. They just want like a plan to follow. Or they may actually have a lot of internal stuff going on, and then I decide like what tests are necessary for us to do in order to like see what the full picture is. Because if you limit testing, like you're limiting your scope. Like if you could put more and more pieces together, then you're making it more efficient. If you're dealing with something that's here, but like this is like 10 steps ahead, if you actually deal with this, then it's taking care of those things that you'd be trying to like, fix the symptoms sort of. So it just, that's why I was talking about things at the cellular level and the optimization of things, where it's like, are you patching holes, or are you truly dealing with like the real problem at a deeper level? And maybe it started here, but it's actually now a way bigger systemic issue. And so like you have to deal with that first, or you're going to be maybe okay for a little bit, and then it's going to like happen again, sort of.
yeah, it'll come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna kind of divert for a second, because that's amazing, right? So you spread up in high school. We're gonna talk more about that in a minute. You go play basketball. That doesn't work out for the coach's fault 100%. You get into kind of fitness. Is it fitness modeling? I don't know if it's, or bodybuilding, I guess more so. Or,
Well, I turned pro in bodybuilding, but then, I
because
was.
it kind of, okay. Now you're in the health and wellness, you're helping people, you're training people, you're doing their tests or scans and blah blah blah. Why do something, because this is going to be very uncomfortable for you,
Like the talking stuff?
like Casie um, Unhinged is going to be, we're gonna force you to talk about other stuff other than health and wellness.
Yeah.
So why open yourself up and say, hey, I can live in my nice little bubble here and just talk about health and fitness and doing stuff? Why open up? Like, that's unhinged, if I can use the term.
Because I think I've always been sort of misunderstood, and I think I come off like very stoic, I would use, when people don't know me or they see me outside of that. Like, I think the first thing people say is, wow, you're actually like really nice, or you're actually really cool. And I have such a like different personality than what I think people see on like the serious business side.
Okay.
And I love that side of myself, and I feel the happiest when I'm there. Like I enjoy nerding out on stuff and teaching people. But when I have the most fun is when I do this kind of stuff. Like when I talk to people, when I'm speaking, and when I'm sharing my thoughts, or like I can get into weird conversations and show those things. And I think it's important to not just talk about one aspect. I'm very much like mind, body, spirit, and you can't really, I think, put that across in like a post or like
No, it's hard. It's hard.
you
Well,
know,
it's funny. It's because I'm the opposite. Everyone thinks I'm actually really nice until they get to know me, and then they realize, no.
they're like, no, you're really actually just.
Yeah, you're kind of a jerk. Yeah, which is why I try to keep. I know people.
I
Just
mean, I picked that up through a message, so I don't agree with the reality of people, but
fair enough. When they meet me, it's like, oh, he's a nice guy, and then and that's why I maybe after 3 months they're like, I've never heard from him again. I'm like, because after 3 months you'll find out I'm not.
Yeah.
But Dick. So that being said, one of the things we're going to get into now, not all today because we only have like 10 minutes left, but why I said we're going to go back to high school, but also to today, being 6'2", being kind of putting yourself out there on social media, you probably get, and we're not going to dive into much of them, but you probably get some interesting messages. So I'm going to use other people as an example, things that I've seen online, and you can just give a yes or a no if this has happened. So we have a number of Our shows talk about like NFL football and NBA, and the most common thing that all the sportscasters, the female sportscasters, say is they get a lot of requests for feet pics.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
do you get that?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, like
You
I
shocked.
just like, to me, the weirdness of it, like I can't do it because it just becomes a game. Like if it was, if it was a straight transaction and there wasn't like this fantasy surrounding it, it would make it easier, but they're like, they want to have like a whole back and forth and like a chit chat and whatever. And I'm sure there's things that you could make it easier. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't play into your whatever just to get your money from you. And I also like don't have these amazing feet that you think I have. Like I think you have this fantasy that I have amazing feet, but people will go like zoom in on my photos on my thing and be like, your second toe is longer than your first one. Like that means you're a Grecian goddess and that you are extremely smart and whatever. And I'm like, I mean, I know that. Thank you so much for noticing, but I still don't want to send you pictures of my feet, Like I don't know how like people have time for this shit, but they do.
I have, because okay, on my end, it's very different, right? People want to tell me how dumb I am and how I don't know anything about sports, and death threats and that sort of thing because I have one player over another. So those I actually get. How you have time to do that, that's the part I don't get. So then when I hear stuff like that, or there was a girl who was on, I want to say The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I'm not asking you this question. I'm just telling you what she did.
Okay.
She made a killing selling her farts in a jar.
Oh God.
And so I'm trying to think like what could be the next thing? Like if you work
There's
out,
probably so many things that you haven't heard of, but there's like, have you heard of the stomping where like a guy will lay on the ground and they'll like pay a girl to like literally like stomp on them in heels and like crush them?
no, I've
Yeah,
not.
there's a lot of.
What was that show? Billions? The first episode, but she just steps on him. I don't think she actually stomps.
Okay, I don't know.
No, I've not heard that one before. But that involves being there.
True.
I'm more thinking of side businesses like, like sweat in a jar. How
Or like
about
OnlyFans.
what about like one of my hair follicles? When I saw, did you see this one? The girl, I think she made like, they say $52 million in a year.
Doing
And they were
what?
on OnlyFans.
Oh,
And they
it
compared
was
it.
like more than all the NBA players or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see this? And I was like, and they were making fun of her. And I'm like, I don't making fun of her. I'm making fun of all the, the guys who threw all that money.
Somebody sent me a reel today. I don't think it was you, but it was a girl who makes custom like voice notes for guys, and she'll just be like, she makes one of those little like Easy Mac, like quick mac and cheese things, that you can like add things and like pop in the microwave. We had them in college, like the little Kraft mac and cheese things.
Oh, yeah.
And so she's like moaning, like stirring the mac and cheese, acting like she's like doing something to herself and like sending this custom voice note. So she's like showing everybody like how she does it. And she's like, was talking about how much money she made doing it. And I'm just like, I mean, you're paying for the fantasy. I guess that's your fault. But
I thought you were going to tell me she sends them voice notes. Like, there's this couple that does, I don't know, they pop up on my feed all the time. And there's this one skit where he drives up, and it looks like he's, picking up a girl who's on the side of the road. And he says, how much for you to tell me like you appreciate that I'm right in the fight? And she's like,
yes.
She's like $100. Yeah, you're right, honey. I was wrong. So I thought when you said she says custom voice notes, it's like,
oh
yeah, I was wrong, honey. You were right.
Yeah, no, I went a step further with that one.
Yeah, I did not think that's what you were talking.
I mean, we're on like the perv trail, like of like, like girls will send underwear to guys and all the things, but I don't know. I don't know. I can't do it. I can't.
I guess, but where I was going with this line of questioning now is how do you, because like I said, I get like stupid death threats and I'm an idiot your gender gets a whole different type of message. How do you deal with it all? Because I've just yesterday, so let me say why I'm asking. Just yesterday, a friend of mine, actually their family came over, and he said, "Hey, I saw you blasted this guy. Like you actually made a video because I guess he pissed you off and kept saying." And I said, "Listen, this dude messaged 2,000 times on my TikTok. So
Yeah.
he kind of flooded this one post that I had, and telling me like what an idiot I am and blah, 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 blah. And I just had enough. So I did and he's username 457644 whatever. And so I was like, no, I'm not letting this slide. And I found out who he was and told everybody who he was and why he was not qualified to have that conversation with me.
Yeah.
And how could you let it bother you? And he's trying to talk me off the ledge. And I'm like, no, he pissed me off. 2,000 messages. And he's right. I should have just let it go. Do you find that you're responding or do you just let it go?
But like they're like, even though they're messaging me that stuff, it's like it's not a negative thing. They like truly want my feet pictures, So it's like I just don't. I mean, that's why I love like the other folder because you can just like
What's
not
that? I don't have that. What's that?
Yes, you do. Everybody
No,
does.
I do not.
You've never probably. You should go check that folder because.
Uh-oh. I'm so like, yeah, okay. Anyways, so that stuff goes
How
there.
do you not know this? You guys have like 25K followers. Like,
no, I have 35.
okay, well, it's like the other, and then there's like an other. So there's like filtered. So like if you don't follow somebody and they message you, but if they message you but you don't follow them, it goes into another folder, and then you have to accept the message in order to respond.
Hold on, that's maybe I just hold on. I do have something like that. Mine's called requests, and so, but I don't like. I literally, yeah.
Yeah, if you go on request, then you scroll all the way down to request really quick. Then there's another other folder it's like a sub filtered folder.
Okay, I should check that out because I say I know there's requests where like people will send me like
here. It's like that.
Well, we're gonna call them out. Hung Tran sends me like Kobe Bryant videos.
Yeah,
that's okay. So they go there, and so you just ignore them, or do you go through them?
Well, it's entertaining sometimes. So sometimes I'll read them, but like sometimes if like somebody messages me that I'm not following yet, like it'll be like a business request or it'll be like somebody who's inquiring for something that I just like, so I'll every once in a while I'll check them. But that's usually where they're at. But every once in a while, like it'll be somebody who seems like
you don't get any bad ones.
What?
You don't get any bad ones?
Yeah, I get bad ones. I made the one I did what you did the one day, but it wasn't because I was like mad. It was the guy who was like, "Are you a dude? Like any girl who has muscle and whatever, like I'll get like guys commenting that on videos and whatever." And it's like he's always like 300 pounds overweight and could never get a girl. And so it's like he's at home angry. And so every once in a while, I just think it's funny, and I'm like, it's just good content for me. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna use it for a thing. Like, I'm not angry about it either. And that's what I hate too, is people will be like, screw the haters, like you're beautiful. And I'm like, I didn't do this because I am insecure about it. I did it because I'm calling the bro out because he's, you know what I mean?
I feel like sometimes that's what they want. Like they want the attention.
Yeah.
Like the dude telling me, this dude, one of the 2,000 things was spoken like someone who's never played basketball.
Right.
And I'm like, really? You're a freshman at OSU. You're about 5'4". You weigh about 57 pounds.
Right.
Because now I've got your picture and your name. Are you sure that I'm the one who's never played? And it's like, did I just give him what he wanted? Right.
Yeah.
That I don't know. Oh, wow. That went fast.
It did go fast.
That did go really fast. So next week, we're gonna dive into more. We're gonna have like what I want to do is we'll do a couple of segments. We'll do like some kind of fitness tip.
Okay.
I want you to pick out I already know which one I want you to talk about.
Oh, Lord.
Pick out the craziest one that you've had, like
What?
In your messages.
Oh, craziest message. I have a folder of screenshots in my phone saved. And I did that for you, because you want to know how long we've been talking about this? For probably 6 months. So
has it? Wow.
No, maybe not that long, but like at least 5, like 4 or 5 months. But I started a folder for you.
Excellent. That's going to be so much. That's my favorite part. We'll do all the other stuff. Anyone who's watching to get health and fitness tips, oh yes, that'll be there too. But this will be my favorite part. We have 1 minute left. The good news is, for those, because there are some people watching right now. For those of you watching, NBA Max is coming up in 45 seconds. We're going to pull up the NBA All-Star Game. It is going to be the championship round. Should be starting, if they're on schedule, at 10:05. We are going to live stream the NBA All-Star Game, the championship round, and we're going to tell you why it sucks, because let's be honest, it's All-Star weekend, which means it's horrible. This has been, who's that again?
This is Hazel. She's ready to eat.
Hazel. Okay, that's Hazel.
Hazel.
And Casie, not Casey, and Casie, not Cassie. Unhinged will be here every week, 9 p.m. Do you have a tagline to say goodbye to? Like I always do. Now you're more fluent, but
no, I'm trying to think of like my favorite thing to say, but I don't really have a thing, I feel.
Then in that case, I'm going to hit end. It's going to play an outro. You don't go anywhere. You who are watching, stay right where you are.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
No, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.